Hello, YouTube fam. This is part 3 of my series of 4 on my recovery journey. And let's get started. So I dropped off when I had got my apartment. Okay, I got my apartment in 1992 and I started doing more things in my recovery. Started going to dances, started hanging out more, going to other cities for meetings, conventions, really started branching out a little bit. They even asked me to speak at a convention twice, one on the steps and one on beginners in service. So I did those, and people started to get to know who I was. Okay. So I was going to meetings and doing what I needed to do. And I met a lady who would later on become my wife. I met her in the rooms. She was a newcomer, and I know I should have had hands off. I had a couple years in recovery and I should have known better. She wasn't quite at a year, but she was close to it. But it said no relationships for at least the first year of your recovery. After the first year, we're not talking about relationships of building it with your sponsor, building it with your support group, we're talking about an intimate personal connection, social interactive relationship with usually the opposite sex. So we got together, started going to dances and things together, started enjoying each other and stuff. And I didn't know then that I selected her, and I did it based upon the fact that she was living with her sister. She had a 7-year-old daughter, and she needed someone to be there for her. But the real reason why I chose her was at that time my self esteem was low. So I needed somebody that needed me. I didn't need no, strong, got yourself together, been in recovery for years type woman. I needed someone that needed me, you know. So we got together and, you know, we started doing things, hanging out together and all that stuff. And then we started realizing that we couldn't work each other's recovery together. Her recovery had to be her recovery. My recovery had to be my recovery. You know, we didn't have to go to meetings together every day and all of those things like that. So I started establishing that and setting those tones. Um, and she was all right with it. Um, about 6 months into that process, she relapsed. And she relapsed back in the city that she was from. And I was devastated. You know, I thought that if she was with me, that she would remain clean because I was clean. But recovery has to be done individually. You can't keep nobody clean. But boy, can somebody keep you using. So I stayed clean through all of that. She made it back to the rooms. I allowed her to come back to my house. One thing led to another. She became pregnant. She became pregnant and had our son in 1993. And in August of that same year, we tied the knot and became married. There was people that was for our wedding, our marriage, and there was people that were against it. Um, but I learned even back then that people from the outside looking in shouldn't tell you what your relationship should look like. Your relationship should look like how the two of you decide for it to look. You know, so we decided that we wanted our kids to have a better opportunity at life than we did. We were from the city, we were from the streets. We both, ran the streets. We wanted to give our kids an opportunity to do something that we hadn't done, and that was live somewhere else other than where we were from. So we decided on Hampton, Virginia. We moved to Hampton, Virginia in 1994. She didn't like it. I loved it. I got around people. I got a job. I started going to meetings. I started sponsoring people. I found a sponsor down here. I was doing okay. But our relationship wasn't doing okay. Because she wasn't okay. So she started going back and forth to Philadelphia. You know, going to see her family and this and that, this and that, and this and that. And one day I came home from work, opened the door, and everything was gone. My 3-year-old son, my wife, her daughter, all gone. I didn't have any notice in terms of verbal conversation or anything like that, but I had spiritual notice because I felt that something was going on. I felt something was wrong. Even though sometimes we feel things and we don't want to label them as what we're feeling because it doesn't go a good, it goes against what we want things to be. I wanted things to be okay. I wanted things to work. I wanted us to be a family. I wanted us to have a nice relationship. I wanted us to meet new people, and all of those things. But in order to make that work, it takes two people to make a relationship work. And your body can't be somewhere and your mind somewhere else. You know, um, so I didn't hear anything from her for months. You know, and then all of a sudden I got a call. We need to talk, and we met, and we decided that it would be better for us to go back to where we came from and try it there. Um, and I did that even though in my heart I did not trust her. And I had a lot of people saying, hey, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't give her another chance. She doesn't deserve another chance. But I felt our marriage deserved another chance. And it wasn't about what other people felt, what other people thought. Went back to where we started out at, was there for 2-3 months. We both realized it wasn't going to work. If you don't trust somebody, there is no way you can build a relationship with them. You can stay with them and y'all can be, looking out the window at each, and looking in the trash can and seeing if a phone number's wrote on something, or watching how long they hug a person at a meeting. You can do all that if you want. But if you want a relationship, you have to be able to trust them and y'all have to be able to communicate. So I realized that wasn't going to work, and I didn't think it was fair to us or fair to the kids for us to stay together and not be happy together. Because I'd rather be by myself and lonely than to be in a relationship with someone and be unhappy. So I decided that it was best for us to go our separate ways. I never burnt my bridges from where we were at before. I knew that if something were to happen between us, that I was going to go back to where I came from, and that's exactly what I did. I came right back to where we started because I never had a problem with where we were. I knew that was going to be tough on me because I didn't want to be that far away from my son. And that's why I went to the courts and established custody so I can have visitation when I can see him certain times and get him for summers and holidays and things like that. I was willing to do that because I think the mistake that a lot of people make is when they don't work with somebody in a relationship, they take it out on the child indirectly by not spending time with them and not doing the things they need to do for them because they don't want to be around the other person. And just because I didn't love his mother anymore, I wasn't going to take that out on him and act like I didn't love him. So I decided to get all of that established, and I did that. And I came back to where I was, and I spent quality time with him, and I got him, for the first summer that I was there and things like that. They tried to come down here after that, try to see if things could work in terms of them getting down here. Um, but it didn't work out for them, and they decided to go back to where they came from. So I decided to, I was still here, so I stayed here, you know, and I got a new job, got a new place, was doing okay, just working my recovery and doing the things I needed to do, although I did miss them, you know, I just knew that I had to establish something here and a solid foundation here for when my son was able to come and see me and do things with me, that he was going to be able to do it and we was going to be okay. And this is the end of part 3. I will be coming back at you with part 4. It will be coming in 2 days from the time you see this one. Until the next time, in the final part 4, have yourself a safe and blessed evening, and we will continue.